I wake up to the same old fight, chasing shadows in the night. Promises made, but I let them fade. Caught in the cycle, I'm feeling betrayed. Round and round, I'm losing ground. Trying to break free, but I can't see. These negative patterns are haunting me. Nights turn to days, I'm losing my way. Thought I found peace, but it's led me astray. Chasing the high, but it only brings pain. The more I run, the less I gain.
Hey everybody, hey, and welcome to another session of Tarka Said Again. Now, I time traveled, y'all. Oh my gosh, it was amazing as I had the opportunity to visit another continent, Asia. We visited Tokyo and Osaka, Japan. We spent 3 days in Tokyo and 3 days in Osaka. When I tell you I time traveled, I just keep saying it because going over, you lost the day, but coming back, you gained the day. It made me think about the movie Back to the Future. It was amazing. And I had people call me, text me, and it was like, what time is it? And I'm like, I'm just waking up. And they was like, what? It's evening time over here. We just getting off work. Or now, one thing helped as far as the traveling, wearing those compression socks definitely came in handy. I didn't feel a certain way getting off. There was no aches. It helped with the circulation and blood clots. There was no swelling. So I definitely appreciated those compression socks. And anytime that you have to travel far, because it was a 17-hour trip, wear them. The first day was more so getting acclimated to this new country, this new culture, this time difference. As we know, it was a 14-hour difference. And when I say getting acclimated to the new, things such as simply walking and driving on the left side. Yes, they walk on the left side and they drive on the left side. Now, I've seen it in other countries where you drive on the left side, but never the walking on the left side. And it made me think about my mom growing up. She would always be like, get to the right side so the people, they can pass on the left side. But they even read from right to left. And I didn't know that either. I always knew the Hebrews, they read right to left, but the Japanese, I witnessed it myself. There was a guy reading a book on the train, and of course, I could not understand anything. It made me think about my book, Addictive Patterns. But I could not understand anything in that book, but I did notice he was literally reading from right to left, using his finger, and he would also turn those pages backwards. I was like, wow. Also, other countries and territories like Jamaica, different countries over in the Caribbean, when they drive, that was also something as well. But leaving the airport, and we flew into NRT, and they do have another airport that you can fly into as well. But we found NRT to be closer to all of the staples and various sites that we visited while being there. But it was an hour trip when you rode the reserve train. In other words, you had a designated seat assignment. And then from there, we picked up the local trains. And when I tell you their public transportation, oh my gosh, I believe their public transportation is the best in the world. I say that because it is the cleanest. I've been on public transportation in other countries as well as states, but they keep it clean. And even the decor, the upholstery on the chairs and whatnot, like velvet, pretty colors on the different trains. And one thing, or one of their customs, they ask that you keep the noise level down on your phone while being on the public transportation. And I was like, who, we need to adopt that, because we can just be in the store, the hair salon, the nail salon, wherever, and people have their phone on speakerphone, just having whole conversation. I'm like, what? Are you serious? But they are big on that. It's quiet. People are to themselves. They might be talking to another person, but as far as them cell phones being a distraction and being on social media, where people literally play it loud, no, they don't allow that on their trains. Some other customs I noticed while being there, or traditions, they have brand new house slippers in those hotels at the door waiting for you soon as you come in. And when we went to rent kimonos, you had to take your shoes off at a certain point. Like, you could walk into the building, rent your kimono, but once you went upstairs, it was like, take your shoes off, take your shoes off. It's like, okay. And that was something growing up that my mom adopted. Like, when we lived in Pine Hills, and I'm saying this is when I noticed, it was regular, come and go with your shoes on. But when we moved, I believe my freshman year of high school, when we moved, Claricono-Coy and Quail Ridge, that new subdivision that had been built. And my mom had gotten a sign and she put it on the door, and it was like, please remove your shoes before entering. And she adopted that culture, or that routine of things, where we had to take our shoes off before going throughout the house. Another, their convenience stores, the main stores there were 7-Eleven and Lawson. Now, their 7-Eleven, they made ours look bad. I showed a few on my story. You can make your smoothies with their machine. They had ready-to-go meals, sushi, ramen, all types of different foods ready to go. Now, this was the kicker. This is what got me. When I tell you, the theme parks, oh my gosh. Disneyland, I paid $55.70. Universal Studios, I paid $62. I don't remember the cents. But nevertheless, I was like, the United States needs to get it together, because they are taxing us on everything. But however, it was amazing visiting those theme parks, being able to see the differences as well as some of the similarities at the different parks, things that they had that we didn't have, vice versa. Like Snoopy's World, that was different. And of course, they had the Super Nintendo Mario World. That's something that we do have, but it was all within one part. Like, it wasn't a different price to visit Super Mario World. Now, before I left, I told you I had to get the international driver's license. We had to use those licenses for the street go-kart, because we had the opportunity to actually drive in the streets, yes, with the cars. We had to obtain those licenses, and they was not playing. They was like, oh, you cannot if you don't have them. So that was exhilarating. It was exciting. It was fun. When I tell you, paparazzi was on the street, not literally, but so many people pulled out their cameras and they were snapping pictures, and they was just waving like in amazement, smiling, speaking, everything. And of course, I played along. It was like, hi, hi. But it was so much fun. Now, you had the people in the cars. They was not playing. I guess they say, okay, if you want to be out here in these streets abiding by our rules, you better act like it, because there was a van that tried to cut me off. Did cut me off. I'm talking about tried. They did cut me off. Then later on, another one tried to come. I was like, no. So I cut him off. But it was fun overall. Everybody was safe. And then we also got a chance to do a sushi making class. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm not into sushi, but I did taste some while being there. My daughter, she took the sushi making class because she does that on a regular basis as far as eating sushi. She has the palate for that. And Tokyo Drift, that was another experience. Now, I opted out of that one because I asked my daughter if I would be able to tell the people when to slow down if they drove too fast, and she was like, this not the car you want to get. You don't want to be in our car. So I opted out and did not go on that excursion. They told me about it. I saw the pictures, and she was saying her professional driver, he asked her if she knew Sexy Red, and she was like, yeah. And he told her that Sexy Red was just there the week before shooting a video, and they used his vehicle. So I'm like, okay, I'll be checking it out to see if I see the car that they were in. But I thought that was exciting. She also bought some prescription glasses over there. Now, the kicker with getting these prescription glasses, they were ready in 30 minutes. And my baby was like, Ma, in the States, we got to wait 2 weeks to get them back. So what I noticed is just they are a little bit more advanced on some things, but definitely some differences. And I'm sure they may come to our country and notice some things that we do that they wish they did. But hey, I love my state and my country. So it is what it is, but I definitely had an amazing time. Another thing, we got on the bullet train. Now, that was a 2.5 hour trip over to Osaka because we stayed in Tokyo for 3 days and stayed in Osaka for 3 days. And the bullet train got a chance to see Mount Fuji, and you know that's the tallest mountain in Japan, and it had like the snow cap on it. We also, of course, did some shopping. It wouldn't be a trip if you don't shop or come back with something when you travel outside of your state, or definitely outside of your country. That was awesome because tax free. Yes, we hopped on a few of them designer bags. Yes, Haunty. Yes. Now they're not cheap, but they are cheaper because you don't have to worry about the taxes as well as the extra that United States tack on to it. But however, Japan is known for their pork. Now, that was one thing I noticed. Pork cutlets, pork, bacon, sausage, pork in this dish, pork in coleslaw dressing with cabbage, pork, and more pork. But I believe the way they make it, because I'm not a big pork eater. Yes, I eat it, but not big on, because once upon a time I couldn't eat it. It would give me headaches. But I ate a lot of pork this week and I didn't experience any headaches. So I believe the way they cook it maybe made it a little bit more healthier, but pork is one of the things they're known for. They even have a big pig cafe and bidets. Oh my gosh, the bidets with those warm toilet seats. And you all know it was cold over there. It even snowed before we left. So we experienced that. But those warm toilet seats came in handy for those cold nights and cold mornings. I was like, yes, I spent a lot of time on those seats. No secret. And one last thing I want to share. We visited the Katsuchi temple. And trust me, I know I am messing up the name of that temple. But there we witnessed individuals coming and giving their money and praying. and washing themselves, like their face, their hands, their necks, their arms. And I found out that it's for winning good luck. So that's the purpose of them practicing these traditions. But I definitely enjoyed myself. And when we think about traditions, customs, and behaviors, it takes me back to my book again, Addictive Patterns, and those things that have been passed down from generation to generation. Yes, we talk about the Japanese and what they do, whether positive or negative or contrary to what we have learned. But we as a whole or as a culture, we have our own that we have adopted, and it could be positive or negative. And so that's just food for thought. But I definitely wanted to share my experience. And hey, Japan, we'll be back. Definitely. All right, y'all, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share on YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Have a good one.